Hello, healing warriors and healers. It's nice to see you again. Today I wanted to kind of talk a little more in depth about pacing because it's so important for recovery. So when you think of pacing, think about you can't really drive a car when it's out of gas. Or if your gas tank's filled and the faster you drive, the longer you drive, or if you drive uphill versus downhill, it's going to take a lot more effort and use more gas faster. And this is the same with people, even if they aren't sick. But when recovering from an illness like COVID-19, we have to be that much more aware of and careful about using up too much gas. Also, you don't want to keep your car in the driveway overnight with little gas if it's cold out or if you're expecting a snowstorm, if you live in New England like me, because you're going to need that extra gas to warm up the engine to get out of the driveway the next day. And this is the same for us in the morning. We don't want to use up all of our gas and leave only a little in our engine when we go to bed. One, it's hard to sleep when we're overtired, and two, it's hard to get out of bed when we have little fuel. So it's really balancing our day with a lot of pauses and stopping at the rest stop, often for refueling. And when you're recovering from COVID-19 and all the symptoms, what it really is like, all of a sudden we have to go in slow motion, which can be super hard when we're used to doing. So this idea leads me to the spoon theory. I don't know if you ever heard of the spoon theory, but it was developed by Christine Miserandino. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and used by many people who experience chronic pain or an invisible illness to explain their fatigue to others and help others understand how they have to pace themselves, as well as using it for themselves to pace themselves. And I really love this theory. I used it when I was recovering from chronic pain. So the spoons represent the energy you have for a day. So we're going to start with 12 right now, and that's actually, I think, what she started with. And we realize that we start with 12 or what feels right for us, but people without a chronic illness or recovering from COVID-19 tend to have a lot more than just 12 spoons. So as you go through your day, each task you do is going to use one spoon or more, okay? So for example, when I take a shower, first of all, the standing, taking a shower, and then the heat of the shower makes it hard to breathe. So I lose 2 spoons. It's 2 spoons of energy. And then I get breakfast for my daughter. Well, that's really hard for me to do because it's more standing. And mornings are really hard because I get short of breath. So that's 2 spoons more of energy that I lose. Then I get dressed and I lose 1 spoon of energy. Okay, then I start getting really short of breath. There goes 3 spoons of energy. So I haven't even finished my morning routine, and I only have 3 spoons left for the day. So here's another example. I walk 2 minutes in the house, practicing my walking, and my heart rate was high, so at 124. I was trying not to go over it, but it was remaining stable, and I felt good. So I decided I'll try walking another 5 minutes in the house. Didn't seem too hard. There they were. I ended up in bed the rest of the day. All my spoons gone. And then I just used up a whole bunch of spoons, picking those spoons up, and got out of breath. So let's take a deep breath together. And out. It's good to give ourselves permission to breathe when we need to breathe. Let's do it again. And that is also part of pacing, right? So when the spoons are gone, the only way to get more spoons is to rest and wait for the spoons to regenerate. Because of this, we have to ration the spoons throughout the day, ration the spoons. And the spoons we give up, we can try to get back. So now, say this, I get up and get my daughter breakfast. That's 2 spoons of energy. I got 12 to start with. I do breathing exercises after that. All right? Oops. That's going to give me another spoon back. So I only used up 1 spoon. I take a shower. That's hard. 2 spoons. I lay down for a half hour and my shortness of breath and heart rate go back to baseline. I'm going to get 2 spoons back. I lose my temper because I'm tired and frustrated, and my daughter did something, probably didn't need me to be yelling at her, but I lost my temper. 2 spoons gone. Why 2 spoons? Just losing my temper? Because emotions play a role too, right? Just like what activities can energize us or take away our fuel from the tank, so can emotions. That's why I'm always talking about the relaxation response and meditation and even journaling. So I lose 2 spoons. I apologize. I play a fun game with my daughter, lying down. You know what? I get 2 spoons back. 1, because I'm a little more rested. The other spoon, you know what? Because I just brought back joy into my life and joy and social connection with my daughter. So then I get up. I walk 5 minutes in the house, practicing my walking. Stable heart rate. It's actually, let's say it's 110 now. It's a really good heart rate for me. No shortness of breath. 1 spoon gone. I lay down for a half hour. 1 spoon back. And so on. Later I cook, which I actually can't do right now, but let's say I cook. 2 spoons gone. I start getting out of breath, but I continue to cook. All right, we're getting out of breath. 3 spoons. We're standing longer, getting out of breath. We're pushing ourselves. 3 spoons gone. I push myself more, out the window. They all go, and I'm in bed. So I want to leave reserve by the time I go to bed. I don't want to have no spoons left. It's just like the idea of you keep your car in the driveway overnight, you got to have some gas so you can actually get somewhere the next day. Okay? So maybe for me, my goal is to have at least 2 spoons left at night. So I have those 2 spoons for reserve the next morning. So I have those 2 spoons to add to 14, to add to the 12 spoons. So now I have 14 spoons. I have extra spoons I can use. And why else do I want to try to have reserve left? Because what if I have a sleepless night or wake up feeling really bad, which a lot of my mornings are bad. Bad in the sense it's very hard to breathe for me in the mornings. So I'm not getting 12 spoons that day because I'm going to be using up a lot if I have to get out of bed. So post-COVID has left me in bed for 2 days to a week when I didn't even think I was overdoing it. Or a medical test, like a breathing test, was too much for me and left me in bed for a couple of days, but I had a week where I was left where my lungs were hurting me. So I don't have as much reserve or as much energy. You have to be very careful. So it's good to be prepared for the unexpected and always have reserves if you can for the next day. And if you don't, finding a way, how can I get those reserves back? How can I even accumulate more spoons? Maybe perhaps when you lose a spoon, you rest, you get a spoon. Maybe you rest more, you can get an extra spoon. Okay? So what are some ways to keep your spoons from disappearing quickly? 1, actually use spoons. Why not? It's actually kind of fun to do. But it's really tangible to see like how much energy you're losing and how much reserve you have left that you can rely on. Determine your baseline, and by this I mean the amount of time that you can do an activity before too much fatigue, too much shortness of breath, or high heart rate or low heart rate, before the symptoms really kick in gear even more. Okay, so we may have all symptoms, but we have a baseline of symptoms, and it's really hard to figure out what our baseline is. So I invite you to write down the activity, spend a day or two writing down the activity and how long you do the activity before you start getting out of breath or before your heart rate goes too high. And then you're also going to be able to get a list of what activities really are high effort activities for you versus low effort activities. So for me, standing is a very high effort activity. First, moderate is sitting, lying down is a low effort activity, okay? And then you can help figure out your day by that. So in the morning, if I'm the worst usually in the morning. Am I going to be doing all those high activities if I don't have to? No. Or the high effort activities? No, because that's going to take all my spoons. So I'm really struggling right now trying to figure out how can I balance my mornings of getting up, getting ready, getting my daughter ready, getting the puppy out, all these things when I can't breathe. And that's why I get up earlier, maybe 20 minutes earlier. I do breathing exercises. After I get breakfast for my daughter, I sit with her, and then I go back to breathing exercises while she gets dressed. I got to figure out how can I get my spoons back. And then you perform the high effort activities when you feel your best. But do you do high effort activities one after the other when you feel your best? No. Because you know what? That's going to can completely throw you off. And the problem is, it is so easy, I can't stress enough, to regress and backtrack. It is so easy to feel good one day, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting better, yes. And then the next day, you feel better, like, yes, 2 days in a row, I'm getting better. You start doing more, you push yourself, not even thinking you're pushing yourself. Maybe you start cleaning the house a little because it needs to be clean, it hasn't been cleaned in a while, and then you're back in bed the next day. So it's almost like the symptoms, or the COVID-19 can be a little deceitful because we think we're getting better, but we're not going to get better always if we don't really pace ourselves, because we're thinking our body is really trying to heal. We have to give it time. We may be getting better, right? But we really have to give it that time to keep building up its reserve, building up fuel. Because think of how much fuel our body is using when we're not doing something just by healing, trying to heal. Our body's using tons of fuel up trying to heal. Then breathing. Remember, if you watch my video about the foundations, I talked about breathing. There's difference breathing inside versus outside. Working on walking inside versus outside, because it can create difference of shortness of breath, higher heart rate, perhaps lower heart rate, change in blood pressure. So you start always with what's easier, and you stay there for a little while. You stay at your baseline. If you find out your baseline is 5 minutes walking, you don't maybe want to push yourself the next day and go up to 7. You may want to take a couple days and see, does this really feel right? And I think that's kind of key. I know for me, I have stayed at 5 minutes walking 3 times a day for a couple weeks, and then I'm increasing to 4 times. So it's a really slow process, but if I can stay at my baseline and really establish, all right, this is a good baseline, I feel good, I feel like I can try to go up a little more, that's a big difference than just going up from your baseline the next day or in 2 days. Talking tends to be very difficult, especially when we're outside, changing atmospheric pressure. There's going to be pollen soon with spring, and the temperature, cold can be very hard in the lungs. So can humidity or high heat. And we talk with our mouths, and while we talk, we're breathing through our mouths, which can be very irritating to the throat and to the lungs. I tend to talk fast in these videos, but normally when I'm not doing these videos, I'm actually talking slower. I'm pausing a lot more. I'm giving myself permission to take a lot more breaths when I need. And, I can edit these videos too. So I edit them a lot. So just give yourself permission, like we did earlier. Just take 1 minute. I just need to take some breaths before we continue. I do that all the time when I'm talking to people on the phone. And, they're responsive to it. People care. Another thing with pacing is monitor your heart rate, your oxygen, or awareness of symptoms. I really prefer to monitor my heart rate a lot, because I'm really trying to retrain my heart and stay in a lower zone of my heart rate. But sometimes that can feel like obsessive, and sometimes it can worry people, because if you have dysautonomia, for example, and your heart rate tends to go up to 180, it can cause more anxiety. So perhaps just being aware of your symptoms. And the more I also become aware of my symptoms, I'm noticing, all right, I have this tremendous fatigue, right, this chronic fatigue, but I notice there'll be a wave all of a sudden when I'm doing something, well, all of a sudden it's a wave of extra fatigue, and right then and there I know, okay, I need to just stop and lie down and take a rest, or I'm going to be pushing myself way too much. So it is really important to become aware of your symptoms so that you can prevent regressing. And another symptom could be anxiety. Just becoming aware of, are you starting to feel more anxiety? Are you starting to become aware of a physiological anxiety where the nervous system all of a sudden is starting to feel like it's getting more hyper-aroused, more overactive, right then and there? That's your body telling you it's time to rest. Same with breathing. When do you start feeling short of breath? And hopefully when you learn these symptoms, like how it feels, that felt sense of these symptoms, then it's easier for you to take back some control and feel empowered and like, oh, I know what's happening. I'm going to take a rest now. And then you're going to have more energy. You're going to get more spoons back for that. All right, since I'm an occupational therapist, I just want to mention some equipment. If you're taking showers and it's very difficult standing, or you get very lightheaded or short of breath, I recommend, just for safety and fall prevention, a tub chair or a tub bench. It's also another way to conserve your energy. And you can also get a handheld shower. You can also get, if you have trouble getting on and off the toilet, especially a low toilet, you can get a commode with handles that you can put over the toilet to help push yourself off and have something grab on when you sit on. Another thing for safety as well, and you're conserving your energy. There's a lot of senior centers that allow loans of these equipment so that you don't have to go and buy them and you can try them out, especially if you don't think you're going to be using them for a long time. Same with walkers, long-handled reachers, so you don't have to bend down and pick up something from the floor. You can see, and rollators. A lot of senior centers offer these for free, for a loan, if you're a resident of that town. Another thing is a sock aid. So I love the sock aid because it helps so many people who have back pain, who have had surgeries, who can't bend down. You just throw the sock on, you throw the rope down, and you just slide your foot in. Long-handled reacher, we talked about picking up the floor. You can also, if you have a walker basket is helpful, because what you can do is put all your stuff in a phone for safety, and water in your walker basket instead of having to go back and forth and take many trips. Another way to conserve energy. A rollator, I tend to get nervous about rollators because sometimes they kind of roll away on people, but if you're safe enough, they give the opportunity to sit down. Especially if you're practicing walking around in the house, you can take that seat when you need, or if you're outside. I am wishing you so many spoons. Let us all try to get up to the full package of 24 spoons, all right? That's our goal. But right now, you got spoons. Try to keep as many as you can. The ones that you use up, try to get them back. And figure out what works for you. How many spoons do you need left for the day? So that you know, so you have something to rely on when you wake up in the morning. All right, take care. I wish you health, happiness, love, healing, and peace.